Hello viewers, in this video we will be educating you on the fascinating life of plants and plant diversity. Let's start with some abiotic factors which impact the plants.
Soil. Soil is the outermost layer of the surface of the earth in which plants grow. It is composed of eroded rock, mineral nutrients, decaying plant and animal matter, water and air. This abiotic factor is likewise important in crop farming and is treated under the heating soil and climatic adaptation or soil. Topography. Topography refers to the lay of land. It includes the physical features of the earth such as the land elevation, slope, terrain, mountain ranges and bodies of water. The steepness of a slope affects plant growth through differential incidence of solar radiation, wind velocity and soil type. A steep slope is susceptible to rapid surface runoff and soil erosion, which causes soil degradation. Humidity. Humidity in concert with temperature, sunlight and wind is an important factor which all organisms have to tolerate or adjust to at raised rocks. The humidity changes widely in a number of microecosystems, even in the intertidal area, such as in crevices and under vegetation.
Water.
All living organisms need some water intake. Water covers 70% of the Earth's surface and falls as rain or snow over land. In an environment with little water, only organisms requiring a small percentage of water can survive. Other animals thrive in conditions with large amounts of water, such as marine animals and plants in oceans. Water is essential to survive, but every organism needs a different amount of water. Chemical elements. Chemical elements act within the environment to impact what type of organisms can grow or thrive in the area. The chemical composition, including acidity level, has a large impact on the plants in an area. For example, plants like azaleas or holly thrive in acidic soils. Some elements like copper and zinc are important micronutrients for many organisms. Chemical elements make up all matter, including other abiotic factors. Bryophytes. Bryophytes are an informal group consisting of three divisions of non-vascular land plants, the liverworts, hornworts, and mosses. They prefer moist habitats, although they can survive in dry environments. Bryophytes are primitive plants that don't have seeds or vascular systems because they lack a mechanism for moving water through their bodies. Bryophytes are pretty small. Bryophytes are so tiny that it is easy to ignore them most of the time, even if they are under your feet. The first thing bryophytes need to reproduce is water, since they usually live in places that are moist at least some of the time. This isn't really a problem for bryophytes. However, they still wait until a rainy period to reproduce because they need water to carry sperm to the eggs. Bryophyte reproduction happens in two ways. Asexual reproduction occurs when a sporophyte releases spores, and sexual reproduction happens when gametes fuse and form a zygote. When a bryophyte spore settles somewhere, it grows into a gametophyte. A gametophyte's reproductive organs are called antheridia, which is the male, and archegonia, which is the female. Bryophytes have neither pollen nor flowers, and they rely on water to carry the male gametes to the female gametes. The spore capsules are produced after the sperm have fertilized the eggs. Hence, the spores are part of the sexual reproductive cycle. Pteridophytes. Majority of the living pteridophytes are terrestrial and prefer to grow in cool, moist, and shady places. The fern life cycle requires 2 generations of plants to complete itself. This is called alternation of generations. One generation is diploid, meaning it carries 2 identical sets of chromosomes in each cell or the full genetic complement, like a human cell. The leafy fern with spores is part of the diploid generation, called the sporophyte. A fern's spores don't grow into leafy sporophyte. They aren't like seeds of flowering plants. Instead, they produce a haploid generation. In a haploid plant, each cell contains 1 set of chromosomes or half the genetic complement, like a human sperm or cell.
Gymnosperms are flowerless plants that produce cones and seeds. The term gymnosperm literally means naked seed, as gymnosperm seeds are not encased with an ovary. Rather, they sit exposed on the surface of leaf-like structures called bracts. Gymnosperms are vascular plants. There are a variety of plants which fall under the term gymnosperm. For this reason, the conditions in which they live differ. Conifers are a type of gymnosperm found all over the world, particularly in boreal forests in the northern hemisphere. They are well suited to snowy climates due to the tall triangular shape of the trees, allowing snow to fall readily from the branches. For sexual reproduction, cones house the male and female reproductive structures of conifers. Most conifers are monoecious, meaning one tree contains both female and male parts. Male cones release pollen into the wind. Pollen grains enter a young female cone and then rest for 1 year. During the second spring, fertilization occurs after a pollen grain and the female ovule produce sexual cells. As the seed matures from fertilized ovule, the female cone grows. The woody scales separate, releasing the seed into the wind. This means wind in the environment assists with the reproduction. Therefore, gymnosperms do not require water for sperm to reach the egg. The movement is airborne. Angiosperms dominate Earth's surface, particularly in terrestrial habitats. As a result, angiosperms are the most important ultimate source of food for birds and mammals. They can reproduce by sexual and asexual means. Often, their most distinguishing feature is their reproductive organs, commonly called flowers. They contain the reproductive organs. The male reproductive organ is the stamen and the female is the carpel. These organs may be found fully developed in the same flower, in different flowers on the same plant, or on different plants. This development of distinct male and female parts is one of the mechanisms that ensure genetic diversity. Animals assist with pollination. Fertilization occurs after pollination. Angiosperms do not need water for fertilization because they rely on other mechanisms for sperm transport. The sperm and egg fuse to form a zygote. The zygote develops into an embryo, which is the beginning of the new plant. The embryo is part of a seed, and the seed is encased in a fruit. The fruit aids in seed dispersal. We've mentioned reproduction a lot. Now let's compare sexual and asexual. Asexual reproduction is fast and simple and involves only meiotic division. However, offspring are genetically similar to parents, limiting adaptation. Sexual reproduction involves meiosis during the gamete form. It is slow, elaborate, and complex. However, it allows genetic difference between the parents and offspring. This allows for room for adaptation, unlike asexual reproduction, which can assist in changing environmental conditions.